So here's an update to a pretty popular video I covered back in June, which is titled, Nurse Wife Expects Me to Be Okay with Her Best Friend. Instead, I'm plotting with his wife. And guys, that story is all about a guy who, after 8 years of marriage, his wife, the nurse, who was a single mom when they got together with her, decided that she has a new male best friend. They were playing pickleball tournaments together, and they started hanging out and all that. And this guy was trying to be, accommodating her in the beginning, about it reasonable. But then they started hanging out more often, going out afterwards, after the matches, driving together, all these things. And it got to the point that it was very suspicious and disrespectful. And naturally, he was confronting her on this, and she's throwing a big giant temper tantrum, and ultimately pretty much said that either, if I can't be friends with him, we're getting a divorce. Well, obviously, a friend of 6 months, it isn't about friendship. Obviously, she's cheating. So ultimately, this guy is now looking at the big picture, and it turns out that guy also is married. He's been working with his wife. Well, you're going to see an update here how things turn out. And I made the point before in that video, and I'll say it again. This is an example that if you're married, the guy shouldn't be hanging out with other women, and the wife should be hanging out with other guys. The wife's number one guy should be your husband, nothing more, and her family. That's it. You can have friends, but not hanging out with other dudes, and the husband hanging out with the girls. It's a recipe for disaster. And, of course, the whole thing about the stereotype about the nurses and the single moms and all that. So, let's see how this thing all wraps up. And those of you who saw the video, I'll post a link in the description in case you didn't see it. You'll recall how all this went down up to this point. So he says here, well, I was right with catching on the emotional affair. Things were volatile but settled down. Until the end of June, his wife messaged me through Facebook needing to talk. I was at work, and she came and we met up for a few minutes. She was very upset. It turns out she hired a private investigator. My wife was having an affair for about 5 months, sexual at least once a week. There you go. So much for the whole friend thing, and going to pickleball, and driving together and going out to dinner and everything. This is why the guy, a wife should not have male friends she's hanging out with. Period. And this guy was too lenient. The guy kept buying multiple condos on the river here to keep his wife off the trail, but the private investigator was able to record and tail him. I think he was talking about renting Airbnbs or something. It was very hard seeing those videos of them, and I wish I would have just taken his wife's word for it. She stated they agreed to have a one-night-a-week thing when she traveled for pickleball and went to casinos. She said she thought it would end, but it did not. They had fallen in love. Oh, two cheaters fall in love with each other. Newsflash, I guarantee this guy wasn't falling in love with her, but she's falling in love with him. Well, there was a moment after this that it all came out, and he rented an Airbnb so they could talk and have closure. His wife caught them again, and the situation seemed dangerous, so I called her parents. I eventually showed up too. So it was me, my wife, the affair partner, his mother, and his wife, and then my wife's parents. It was all crazy. By the way, in the comment section, he responds to people's comments, and he said he called all those people because it looked like it was going to get pretty volatile. Well, his mother cursed him in their faith and told me I could do whatever I wanted to him. Holy crap. Man, that's a serious mama. This dude's banging your wife, and his mother says you can do whatever you want to him? Okay, there's a baseball bat in the trunk of my car. I can still do what I want with him? I have your blessing, mama? It was demanded that they decide to be together and everything. They wouldn't answer. Eventually, more of his family stepped in, and my wife ended up exiled and blocked from her pickleball group and friends. When she was playing pickleball, she was playing with different balls. Things then calmed down, and my wife was crying daily, depressed, and closed off. Oh, poor her, the cheater. She was apologetic, but in a way said it was her way of coping with a routine life, which was mainly my fault per her. Her affair, in her words, this affair of hers was her way to cope with the routine life, which was, of course, this dude's fault. She had a daughter when they got together. She was a single mom, and he got together with her and took the daughter in, raised her like his own, and it's his fault for this mundane, boring life? Oh yeah, remember, she's a nurse? Lord knows what's going on at the hospital. I just did a whole video on Nurse is on my main channel, Strong Successful Male. You should all check it out in case you want to hear it. So flashing back, mind you, I'm a nurse at work, and I get this news. Luckily, I had a great supervisor and was able to go home and confront my wife. She admitted to everything. She lived a double life, basically. They had expensive dinners together, weekly at places we both never went to. They slept together and hung out almost daily while I was at work. Slept together and hung out daily while he was at work. Again, it's his fault because of the routine life that she was so bored with. Women and accountability. So it was rough. I took a minute to think things over. My wife's family was very caring and reached out multiple times a day. After much talking, I made the decision to try at least move on. What do you mean move on? Move on from her or move on from the situation? The funny thing is, after about a month of my wife trying, which mainly involved a major cut in pickleball, social media, and phone cutting off contact with the affair partner, I tried not to overcorrect the situation so it didn't feel like a jail. In other words, he was going to give the marriage a second chance. Smack! Obviously, he was doing it because they have a 5-year-old boy together. But really think it's going to work out someone like this? She's going to cheat again. I was still loving and did my normal household duties as a father and husband. But anyway, about a month later, she states that she can't be a married person anymore, and that freedom to do as she wishes was too important. 31 years old. Nope, can't be married anymore. Nope. I don't want the responsibilities of a wife, and frankly a mother too, even though she has a 15-year-old daughter and a 5-year-old boy. Wow, she's a great role model. Welcome to the modern times. And she's 31 or 32 years old. She did the whole spiel that I should be loved better. The whole spiel that I should be loved better, and that I was for a long time, her best friend. She felt that guy couldn't exist anymore, and now she lost the guy she was in love with in the affair. So she offered to take a year-long break. I stated I had been through enough, and I couldn't mentally reconnect after a full year of hall passes, so we decided to divorce. Thank God, it's about time, dude. You out of your mind. In the first story, he mentioned he was willing to do a lot of things to keep the marriage going, which dumbass guys do because they think it's better for the kids, and it never is. Hear that? She wanted to do a break for a year, a hall pass. In other words, keep the current husband, who is a good man, just a little boneheaded here, in timeout, on layaway, while she could see if it could work out with the other guy. Thank God he's like, no. Currently in the process of divorce right now, and we've been separated for about 4 weeks. She spends most of her nights that my son is with me playing pickleball and going out. Doesn't seem phased, so here we are. Who's with her 15-year-old teenage daughter? Clearly she's not. She wants to act like she's in her 20s again. Her family still reaches out to me, even some out of state that I don't know very well. I keep our details out of the conversation and just thank them for their support. My son is doing well. He's really enjoying our time together. I keep him every Friday through Monday and then some weekdays. We're currently into Jurassic Park, and it's a blast. He's doing great in school. Well, that's good the 5-year-old isn't messed up over this. My stepdaughter, or former-to-be stepdaughter, I guess, is loving, but she's 15. She recognizes the financial burdens to come. She's worried about her sweet 16. She is supposed to get a car and go to Disney for her birthday in March. Her and my wife are very close, though now, which is a good thing to come from this. Oh, the poor 15-year-old that can't have her sweet 16 new car and trip to Disney, and you put all those things together, that's going to be a lot of fucking money. Oh, boo-hoo. But she is being 15 and thinking about that shit. So yeah, I'm 32 years old and divorced. This will be the first year I don't celebrate my wife's birthday in over 12 years with her. It's kind of hard to conceptualize the future. Christmas is coming soon, and I dread the loneliness of the holidays. Thank you all for your input. Well, you know what? That sucks, but at least he's ending it with her. And he tried, as foolish as his trying was. And he was the guy that, I don't want to be that guy controlling her so she can have her male best friend to hang out with him. No, that was a terrible idea. But anyhow, guys, and I got to mention here, notice how she blamed him about the routine life. That's called fucking marriage, asshole. I'm talking about her. It's going to get boring. You're raising 2 kids, a 5-year-old and a teenage girl who's 15 who definitely needs your watchful eye. I hope the daughter doesn't turn out like the mother here. Nope, she wants to be free to ride the carousel and all that. And I bet you this guy who The guy who obviously she was cheating with, the affair partner, Mr. Pickleball himself, obviously that wife's divorcing him. And you think that he'll be interested in her after all this? Probably not. I bet you when he kicks her to the curb, she'll be back. There'll be a part 3 to all this, down the road, probably Christmas time when she's feeling lonely and watching the fucking, Christmas Carol and the Bipolar Express for the 30th fucking time or whatever it is since it came out. And she'll be ringing this guy hoping for a second chance. I hope he doesn't do that. But anyhow, guys, there you go. So, no guy friends, no girls' nights, all that type of thing. Pay close attention. And for God's sakes, once again, about the nurses and the single MOMs. I wish this guy all the best in his new life.